Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Revive FM 94.0. I'm your host Nawaz Rajapakistani with your weekly program Signature Talk. And today with me over the phone to join me in the program is Mr. Aftab, who is the column nigar and the journalist in the Jung News as well. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum assalam, Nawaz.
So thank you for attending the program, sir. Today, we have to discuss about the. Initially, I circulated a message that today we are going to discuss about the how can we prevent our children from getting into the path of extremism. But I have changed a little bit topic as well. I have added the Brexit as well because this is a very hot topic for us as well. And first part of the program we will discuss about the Brexit and what have we achieved till now, and what is going to happen in the future about the future of the UK with this Brexit. For my listeners, if they want to call us and they want to ask a question from myself and from my guest Aftab Sahab, they can call us on 0333 444 0940, and they can also send us a text message 07878940940. Ji, Assalamu alaikum, Aftab sir, one more time. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Sir, what's happening with this Brexit?
I think with the Brexit, you know that you are a keen observer of things, how they are developing.
Yeah.
I think as we move towards the situation, moving from after the government has a very resounding majority, they are able to get out of European Union. Now, getting out of European Union is not an act that you walk out of a room.
Yeah.
I think the getting out of European Union, the difficult problem is that you need to negotiate at what terms you're going to trade with the biggest partner you have in the world for your businesses and trade related matters.
Yes.
And so leaving EU is not just a simple matter. So from now, say it was starting from January to be honest with you, but from January till end of this year, we will come to a conclusion that what type of deal or sort of deal we would have with European Union, that what kind of trade we can do with them, how the capital or the monies can flow between the two regions, and as well as how people can flow between or move between the two regions. So these are the three big things within the Brexit to be resolved.
So it's been the major achievement we have.
Down.
Yeah, they still have to come. It's not after the 31st of January we have they come out of the European Union. It's not easy. So it's been we still have these three major obstacles, that how these people will keep on trading between these countries, two countries, European, in fact 27 countries, and between the UK, and how the financial services will the change as well. This is the main hurdle actually.
I think it is a main hurdle because the thing is that previously we have been with part of the European Union for around 4 decades. So it's a very long relationship, and during that relationship, a lot of regulations have converged between UK and EU. And on the financial services, there was a very simple rule. The rule was that if you are regulated or authorized to conduct financial services businesses any one country, you can passport that regulation to any other country and start business in that country also. So from one license you could operate in 27 other countries. So that is now what the UK exit from EU means, that the financial services companies will not be able to use that license, and so that would cause a major problem. And I think the major consideration for the politicians is that whether they prefer financial services or they prefer fishing services, basically, because fishing is another issue which is coming up, and European Union and UK cannot come to common understanding of how to allow fishing in their waters.
Can you elaborate more about the fishing? Because I heard a lot about this. The fishing. Both parties are talking about the fishing. Why it is so important?
I think the importance of fishery in the UK is more symbolic and more what you call traditional, but also from the politicians' point of view, that there's a little bit of votes in building up the fishing sector, and on the as if you look at the numbers, so the number-wise fishing, contributes less than 0.5% of the GDP of the UK economy, but it's very low contribution on the financial terms and economic terms, but there is a lot of emotional attachment. On the other hand, the problem which I think we are not able to, generally the public is not able to understand, that a lot of fish which we kind of, catch in UK waters is not the fish which UK consumer wants to eat. Okay. So a lot of UK fish is exported, and then and a lot of fish which is caught in Norway, which is cod. A lot of fish which is caught in other Iceland and other countries is the one which UK consumers are consuming a lot. So fisheries on its as the numbers are concerned may not be a major impact, but as the politicians, they're always seeking votes, so they may kind of give a better deal to fisheries than to financial services.
I was thinking, when there was elections, they were discussing about this fishery at that time as well, because of the north side of our country, they are very heavily dependent on the fishery as well, because their main businesses is on the fisheries. Like they fish from these fresh waters, and then they sell it to the other part of the European Union, which normally the same thing which you are telling me. The fish we are catching it, we are selling it to the European countries. That's the reason.
But the quantum of the business is very low now. It's like, as I said, the way what the contribution of fishing industry to UK is very low. But having said that, say if you compare it with the financial services, but financial services contributes more than, say, 20% of GDP to the UK economy. But now, I don't know how the politicians make decisions. So it is, they may give away financial services a hard deal and get a better deal for fisheries. So, but what I'm saying is, like, we are in a very kind of unstable period now, because we don't know what kind of deal they will get from the European Union. And from where I speak to the European Union kind of negotiators and people in the European Union, their view is that they're not going to give a very kind of suitable deal to UK.
They're not going to give a soft deal. But what do you think? Now, like Boris Johnson and the other politicians, they were expecting this Canada-style deal as well, isn't it? I was reading some of the things about the Canada-style deal. Like, it's totally just like a free trade agreement, isn't it?
I think that's a good question. I think with the Canada-style deal, the problem is that is the geography, basically, because Canada sits a very long way from EU. So what happens is basically that if you are sitting next to EU, they cannot give you the same deal, because then you will be undermining EU's regulations, EU's human rights, EU's regulation on food, agriculture, labor rights. And so if you do that and you're next to EU, then you can undermine the entire EU economy and the EU market. If Canada does anything like that, it does not impact us, basically, or the European Union overnight, because the Canada, whatever happens in Canada, it does not kind of overnight affect us. So that's what the European Union's review is, that you are very good in terms of asking what the deal you want, but you don't understand the circumstances. The other thing is the political declaration which happened when Boris Johnson claimed a big victory, that he was able to get another political declaration from European Union, and that was before the election. And his speech to the people was that he was able to do something remarkable. Now the thing is, in that political declaration, they have agreed with your EU to create a common sort of regulatory framework. Now that common regulatory framework means that the laws of the European Union and UK would be same or converge. Now, if you don't do that, and you want a Canada like you want to you have the freedom like Canada to make your own rules, and then you want to trade with EU, then probably EU would not do that, because then EU is making it quite clear that if you leave European Union, you get a better deal. So there would be less incentive for the countries within the EU to stay within the union there.
So it's mean we have to keep our fingers crossed what's going to happen in future. Currently last 2 weeks before I was going to Spain through this border, and you can feel that you are just living in one country when you are within the European Union, your movement is so easy. But as soon as after the 30th of December, there is not only the human movement will get defined by the rules and the policies, but also about the movement of the goods, which is the main concern for the businesses.
Yeah, sure. You can't export freely. You may have to pay extra tariffs and stuff like that, and it would be vice versa. I think the European businesses would also suffer. So it would be not a kind of a very good situation for the businesses.
Things will get slow, and as you are a very active community member. So do you think at the moment these businesses are feeling the effects of the Brexit even now, that their businesses are getting slow? What do you think? What type of
I think at this moment of time, still the businesses have not woken up and smelled the coffee, as they say. Because the thing is that they still think that the things are working on an auto situation. It's working as it was previously, say 3 months before. But the thing is, it will drastically change as we come nearer to the December. Because in one way or the other, if the government decides to leave the European Union on a WTO arrangement, that means a lot of tariffs between UK and Europe. That is where the businesses will. So I think still they are sleepwalking into the situation, and I think businesses needs to be a little bit more active and lobby with the government a little bit more. And I would kind of think put the responsibility on the businesses, because I think the businesses have not lobbied that well in what kind of deal they want from the government to get from the European Union. And in that matter, government is taking a free pass, for example, to do whatever they want to do, regardless of any consideration on economy and business and their political consideration.
The Boris Johnson actually got a very, very the heavy mandate from the people. So as soon as he got the heavy mandate, and he can do whatever he wants to do it, that's what he is doing at the moment.
I think that's fine. And then we cannot leave a government with a heavy mandate in consideration of not. Say heavy mandate gives them the power to kind of get the whatever policies they want voted out or voted in rather in the assembly. But the thing is, when they're developing the policies and they're developing a strategy, that's where the lobby from the business and people like our community is probably a little bit slower to react, which is bad. So that is the time when you start influencing their thinking. And I think the problem with our community is that we don't start engaging them in an early phase, and we are left behind, and then we start trying to do things very quickly, and you cannot make a goat fat overnight. Basically, you have to work on it before the Qurbani day. It's pretty much in good health when you want to on the Qurbani day. But the thing is, we want to make it the goat fat overnight, and it does not happen. So we are always left behind, grappling, and then saying that nobody listens to us. I think we don't go through the system.
You are very right that we have to prepare ourselves. But one thing is coming in my mind. If you read the Canada-style deal, what the Canada has done with the European Union, if you read the time scale of that deal, it took them around 3 to 4 years to achieve this deal. And now today we are in February, and sometimes it look like they are not even talking in the media.
No, they're not talking.
They are not even talking. So even if they are not talking, so how come they gonna achieve a deal? Even if it is the Canada style deal, they will not definitely do a copy paste. They have to negotiate to have such type of deal. And it seems like if you are going to have a Canada style deal, you are not talking, and you have only 10 months left behind. So it's mostly unlikely that we're going to have a deal. It's mean we are going to come out of the European Union without a deal, which Boris Johnson is saying the 30th of December 2020 is the last day. Either we have a deal or we don't have a deal.
I think that's what miracles has happened. So we can wait for one. But I think on as you said, the timelines. I think there is one more aspect to that, is that when Canada started negotiating with them, they had before that done a lot of groundwork with their own business community, and so they took a lot of time to do and understand what kind of deal they need, and they brought that package back to European Union once this was agreed within their own country. Now, what you have said, Nawaz, is very true, that in our own country we do not know what kind of deal we want. We are not engaging with the business community. Our business community is not engaging with the politicians, and so my worry is that we may end up in something which will be very detrimental to our businesses here in UK.
One more question coming in my mind is just related to this thing that you're writing in the Pakistani newspapers as well. So are you making our people aware that this is a very good chance for our Pakistani business community in Pakistan, that they can start taking some steps to export their products into the UK because they can have a good deal with them at the moment?
I think I've tried to do that. I've done a piece which was, how the Pakistani relationship would work out post-Brexit. But I think it's the thing is that our the Trade and Commerce Ministry in Pakistan is very much focused on single issue or single industry focus, and which is the textile. And they are just trying to sort of work everything on the basis of a textile industry and how they can grow. And I think that's where the problem lies, is because I think with the Brexit happening, probably Pakistan would suffer more, because the thing is that before Brexit, what was happening is that UK was our most favored nation in terms of business, and it was the biggest investor in Pakistan, and Pakistan was one of the biggest exporters into UK basically. And what was happening was this country of 60 million was not exporting for its usage. What was happening was when the products were landing here, they were then sent to all across EU. Okay. So we had a very good access from the European to the European Union, 27 countries and 300 million people, while exporting to UK. But now that window is closing on us very fast, and I've raised it with different people in people who are responsible to create trade for international trade for Pakistan. But some of the other our lobby in France, in Germany, which would be effectively running the European Union once the UK comes out, is very, very weak. So we don't have that strength. So we have got a lesser. We are, as Brexit happens, maybe the UK economy will suffer, and probably Pakistani economy will suffer also because of that. So I'm very worried about it.
Frankly, I didn't know this thing as well. I didn't know at all. You have gave me a very good idea. Okay, after so now we will move forward to the next topic. Actually, this topic is also related to this Brexit thing as well. In the Brexit, the main issue for the people was the immigration as well, and the immigrants. And you have heard of these terrorist attacks happening in the central London as well, which is by the Sudesh man. He's a young Muslim boy. And then after, the couple of, I think on 20th of February or 19th of February, there is a stabbing attack in the Regent's Park Mosque as well. And both are the young guys. Both are of the same age, and they got radicalized, I will say. And the situation, is getting, I will say, it's not that bad, but still, these young guys are getting a very bad message, and the action they are doing is very bad. So, what you will say on this thing as well?
I think the radicalization is an issue which is developing as a big problem for the Western society, and we included. We are Muslim people within our society being radicalized in the West. I would say that very strongly, because a lot of people who were radicalized in the West went and did some stuff, kind of things which should not happen. So a lot of, I think, is happening. But now with this Brexit was cooked or built upon false information that a lot of immigration is happening into the UK and all those kinds, which was all totally false. But some of the other, they won the day, so we can't sort of argue it anymore. But the thing is that white supremacist radicalization is happening in a very fast at the moment, and that radicalization is showing itself in a non-Islamic radical kind of way in various different places. So I think what there are two things which are to be kind of looked at. One is the our own community's response, and secondly, the institutional response to the radicalization. I think the first thing I'll say, our community's response, I think community has responded to remarkably well after the Regent's Park incident, and before that, if you remember the Finsbury Park Mosque incident, and in both the cases, I think despite of taking a lot of what you call facing difficult situations, community came together, extended its hands to the wider community, and was able to deflect the negative part of it. But having said that, I think what we are seeing is that this phenomena of white radicalization would continue. I think this is happening a lot here, and then a lot of, I would say, radicalization is happening in the far right situation,
like in Germany, the incident,
like in Germany, like in India, and a lot of white Hindu radicalization is now exported into UK. So a lot of RSS cells are now being made in UK. Channel 4 did a major documentary on that, on how the RSS is increasing radicalization in the young Hindus. So I think this is non-Islamic kind of radicalization is happening, and I think now I'll come to the second part, which is how the institutional needs to respond to that. I think within the institutional response is that we have to devote, like within the security apparatus, we have to devote more time, more engagement with the disaffected white youth, for them to understand that if they're not getting the opportunities, not to do with the problem with the immigration, but it is the problem which is continuing within the various different form of government in this country. I will put a blame on both the Conservatives and Labour that they have underinvested in the overall what you call our infrastructure in this country. So if we cannot get any school places, if you have to wait longer in the hospital, if we are going longer to get onto the train, if we cannot get jobs, it's not to do with immigration. The basic reason of it happening is because governments have not invested in the infrastructure of our country for a very long time. And these are just the symptom of that problem. So I think what politicians have done is very well.
You nailed it, Aftab. You nailed it.
Yes. No, I think you would. Everybody would know that, and I think what the government
exactly. When these young guys feel like they are living behind and they are not getting opportunities as in the young age of 20, 25, 27, they are very energetic and they have some dreams to achieve it and they want to do something, and when they are unable to do these things come up in their mind, and we have to counter these things, and we have to speak to them as a parents, as a friend, and as a community and as institutions. We have to speak to them, and we need to give them a courage that okay, you have to wait, but some things will get better in future.
Sure. And I think as soon as government, because what politicians have done is to cover their own backs, basically, of not performing how the country should have been run. They have put all the blame on migration issue. And you travel very well, basically, all across Europe. You have traveled very well across UK. When you go down to sort of Wales, you go down to Lake District and all those small bread and breakfast. You don't find immigration, immigrants working there. You find immigrants spending money there, basically. Everybody is like, as a tourist is like immigrant who is doing that, and they are contributing to the local economy. But the people people who are living in all those places, they are being kind of spoon-fed this wrong propaganda, and on the basis of that, they have voted for Brexit. On the basis of that, now they want some stringent immigration policies, which would not change things, unless and until the government here takes the notice that how they have neglected our social services, our investment in the country. Nothing can happen, basically.
Nothing can happen. You are very right. What else? Apart from the institutional, the thing you have said it, as a community, as a parent, like you are a father, I'm a father, and as a parents, what else in a home, on our individual level, what should we do that our children don't get into this type of idea? Because when they the reading this thing, like in the age of 25, 23, as I said, they are very energetic. So how can we engage our children so that they don't get into the path of this extremism at individual level?
It's a very profound question, Nawaz, and there's no single answer to that. But I think as a parent, the more time you can spend with your children, give them a little bit of more confidence that they're able to talk to you. When they have problems, you are around, you are accessible to them, you are like kind of, coming to them as a well-meaning friend rather than a well-intentioned father to give them, advice every time they look at you and they want to run away from you. I think we have to break that cycle because in this Western system, the parenting is not like what is in Pakistan, or the parenting is very different because children in the school are always given the ideas of questioning things. Don't take everything for granted, and that inquisitive mind and that inquisitive leaning is built upon it. But when they start talking, coming home, and they're engaging with us, we are becoming a little bit less. Engaging with them, and we are trying to give them a lot of what you call advice rather than engaging with them at their level and let them say things and try to sort of understand and come back to them with proper answers. So I think if we are able to do that, I think giving them space and I think the community, like you are a very good what you call brand leader for the community. You have done so well, so they can look at you and say, yeah, this is a role model I want to go for. So as many as more role models we have, and parents can sort of show them those role models. So that would help them, and also I think try to see what are they doing in the school. Engage with them. I think engagement is very.
What about the internet? Like the children are using internet, and we don't know what they are doing it on the internet. And in my view, internet is nowadays a very, I will say, a tricky thing, which is taking these children towards the radicalization and extremism, because they are learning everything
about it.
Sorry.
No, there are no two opinions about it. Internet is a very difficult space to kind of, to control, and how the parents do it is very, is a very tough one.
They need to look into it. Aftab Sahab, thank you for joining me, and thanks a lot for giving me your views about the Brexit and also about the extremism. Thank you, sir.
No, it's a pleasure, Nawaz. You take care.
Thank you. And for my listeners, now we have to go on to the break, and after the break, we will come back on to the same topic of extremism and how can we prevent our young youth from going into the path of extremism. And after the break, Mr. Lord Nazir, he will be with me over the phone. And if you want to ask a question, any type of question from me or from my guest, you can call us on 0333 444 0940, or you can send us a text message on 078 78 940 940. Assalamu alaikum.
Thinking about selling